to start?
Yeah.
Alright, so this is your main electric room. This is where all the power for this building comes through. We got 3 transformers that feed Puttshack, which would be T2, T1, and T3. These are the main disconnects for each transformer. This one, T3 disconnect, will obviously shut down transformer T3. T3 feeds the IT panel. So this is the main feed for your everything that has to do with IT panel.
Okay.
T1 transformer feeds LDP. LDP is the main panel that feeds all the LP1, all the LP2, 3, and the LP4 panel in the kitchen. Also, along with that, it also feeds the lighting control panels 1, 2, 3, and 4, which are labeled respectively on the lighting control room.
Okay.
This is a high voltage panel. This comes from the panel HDP that's landlord provided.
Okay.
This basically feed all your high voltage power like AC units, heat pumps. You have the water heater in here, the KX units in the roof. The freezers, which is the big one, the freezers are being fed off of this one, this panel, LP2. There's a 3-pole 40 amp breakers. This feeds the freezers on the second floor and the 2 on the first floor. It feeds the units that are on the roof.
Okay.
I guess that'll be it for here. T2 feeds the panel in the kitchen, the KP1 and KP2, they're in the kitchen. This will be your main disconnect right here. And then there is also another disconnect on the other side of this wall that feeds the kitchen panels.
Oh, no, she had more name tags.
This big one right here, this feed goes downstairs to the panels.
And this is feeding what?
KP1, and then KP1 feeds KP2.
Great. Thanks.
So you just go into the lake.
A lot of the service calls that we get, it's always that we lost power, that there's no power at some resets. We did our best to label every single reset around the whole place. So obviously, when there's no power, the first point will be to look at the labeling and go find it in the panel.
Yep.
The first 3 letters, LP4, it'll be LP3, it'll be LP1 or HP. That signifies the panel name. It's gonna be panel LP4. And then the dash with the number 6 signifies the circuit breaker.
Great.
So we would have to go, for this one, LP4 is located on the first floor in the kitchen. So we have to go downstairs and check breaker 74.
Okay.
It's, most of the time, the breaker's tripped, equipment overload, and that'll be your first point of service. If the breaker's on and there's still no power, then obviously there's something more bigger than just a breaker.
So that's when we would call.
Yeah,
okay.
you would call me. But first, I would recommend checking this because majority of the times that I've got service calls from past jobs, it's a trip breaker.
Great.
Only problem with past jobs, I didn't label them, so I had to.
There you go.
So this time around, I'm trying my best to double check that everything's labeled properly.
Perfect.
Lighting control panel. All this is controlled by the Lutron keypad that's on the manager's office. So this controls all the lighting. A lot of the issues, most of the time, is software issues with Lutron. So like if the light's not turning on, the first point would be check the Lutron system, make sure the system says it's on. I wouldn't really recommend getting in here, because getting in here you will have to deal with a lot of live wires. So if you have to get in here, it's mostly you gotta have to call us.
So it sounds like if there's a malfunction, start with
Lutron.
with Lutron, with the control in the manager's office, with the app, and then kind of last resort. It sounds like it's not recommended to take the covers off these panels at all. If it gets to that point,
Yeah,
then
I'm gonna close all this up where you have to get a drill and screwdriver to get it open. Right now I'm just because I keep opening and closing it.
yeah.
But yeah, I wouldn't recommend opening this just because it's live wires and You know, you could
Yeah.
shock yourself once you get in. So the first point of contact will be Lutron.
Okay.
Make sure the software says it's on and everything's working, and then I will have, because some of the issues could be that the module is bad. You know, I will have to replace that. I will have to try a different switch leg. But the first point of service for the customer will be just the keypad Lutron software, make sure it's running
Okay.
properly. Now, if that's all good, then I will have to come in and I will have to turn them on manually.
Okay.
And if manually doesn't work, then we have a module problem. But if manually works, then it's a software issue.
Got it. Okay.
I'll close. These three are your first floor panels. They're being fed from the transformers that are up in the second floor. Obviously, you see that labeled right here: KP2, KP1, LP4. KP2, KP1 mostly focus on the kitchen equipment. That's why there's the K for kitchen panels. LP4 will be mostly focused for all the open area stuff. The middle island bar is being fed from KP2. There's some circuits that come out of LP4, but they're labeled on the outlet of the bar. In here we have your shunt trip breakers. You can see some of them are labeled shunt trips. Those are the ones that trip in case of a fire alarm.
Cool.
So when there's a fire, those will be tripped. Those will have to be reset manually. If there's ever a fire alarm, function.
So when there's a fire alarm that goes off, all the shunt trip breakers immediately flip, and then you
Yeah.
need to manually turn them back on. Got it.
And then for these two equipment right here, these two specifically, they're being fed from the second floor, HP3. The labels are right there. HP3, 32, 34, 36. HP3, 31, 33, 35.
Okay.
Those two are specifically being fed from upstairs. This is the only high voltage equipment that we have down here. So in the case of a fire alarm, you have to reset everything in the first floor, but then you have to go up to the second floor, find panel HP3, which is labeled, and there'll be two breakers that feed this equipment, kitchen equipment. Those will have to be reset as well.
Okay.
So, same as upstairs, every outlet in the first floor is labeled. It'll be labeled with a panel name. In this instance, it's KP2. The dash is followed by the circuit number. Some of them is 2 circuits. It'll be a 2-pole breaker at this point. The same thing, it's KP2, KP1, LP4 dash, and then followed by the circuit number.
This elevator won't run right now because there's a door open downstairs, so you'll hear a buzzer. So we have to go downstairs and then we'll close the door and then we can run it from there.
Okay.
So let's go.
Yeah, let's go downstairs.
And we'll go downstairs. So the gate is open on the car, that's why it didn't run up.
Okay.
And also, like, it has a sign right here. It's not meant for people. This is definitely only to transport food and merchandise or whatever, pieces of water. It's 1,200 pound capacity, 40 feet per minute. About all you really need to know off of that. You got to make sure both the doors are closed. Now, if you happen to end up in the car, it has an alarm and it has a stop switch. And it has instructions on the stop switch. Pull it to stop and push into.
Okay.
And then this door is to be fully closed. Yes. It also has an inside door handle, so if you do get inside it, you can get out.
Okay.
And then it's got in use, that means it's traveling. And then car here, when the car's here, it'll chime and that'll illuminate. And then you're up and down, so you just put an up call and there it goes. Yeah, we got another here lights on.
Okay.
And then the door will open because it's got a mechanical unlocking device, and then you just open the gate, pull your racks or whatever out. Close the door. The elevator won't run unless all the doors and gates are closed.
Okay.
And then you just send it away.
Cool. You want to go through the keys and kind of safety?
Yeah. These are the disconnects for the lift. There's also the circuit breaker and panel numbers and everything are on there. That's the controller. This also can be locked. There's keys in here for that. There's
Okay.
also all the service keys that I was talking about earlier for the service people to service it. Now this key here with the red tag on it, it's marked danger. This can be used to get, if the elevator quit or the material lift quit, that you can get the food out of the thing so it doesn't spoil. So this is a mechanical override for the door. However, it's very dangerous because if you leave the door open, somebody can fall or whatever. So anyway, it goes in this little, it makes sense. I know it's a little bit dark in here, but there's a little finger. It goes into the hole. Maybe my light, I can't see.
I mean, we get the.
So like, see there's a little finger on there. There's a little hole right here. You line it up and turns just a little bit, and the door can open. But you see how dangerous it is because you can fall down the shaft. But if the elevator was parked here and it was stuck, you could actually get the stuff out of it so it wouldn't spoil.
Yep.
So these right here, these are the fly fans, the air curtains, whatever you want to call them. There's really truly no maintenance to these. There is a washable filter in here that you would pull off and maintain once every couple months.
Okay.
If that, I mean, they work on a door switch. You open the door, fan turns on. There'll be probably, well, there's no delay on these. Some of them have delays, but as soon as the door switch closes, they shut off.
Perfect.
So if this fan doesn't operate when this door opens, there's an issue. I mean, there's a door switch issue or electrical issue, something.
Okay.
There's no controls of this besides this door switch.
Got it.
That's the only thing that turns it on and off. The greasers, there's really no maintenance to them. The condensers sit on the roof. You have your fan sections that sit inside here that cool the space. If these are not operating, this is not something that a maintenance person can work on. These need to have somebody come look at them.
Okay, so if there's anything wrong with the walk-in cooler,
They need to make a phone call to have someone go look at these.
got it.
Yeah, this is refrigerant and power. That's it.
Okay.
I mean, this is just something. If these are not cooling, there's an issue with a piece of equipment.
Okay,
So
cool.
the exhaust fans that are in this space, I believe there's 2 exhaust fans in this space. They're inline fans. There's a belt on them, which we can get you the size, but that would be the only thing that you would have to check on these. If these fans are not running, the belt's slipped.
Okay, so in order to check the belt, how would you?
You pull out the side panel right there,
Okay.
and then you would observe the belt.
Okay.
If you're not getting an air again, once again, call us or call somebody, but it's a belt.
Is in order to access the belt, is it just like a thumb turn?
Yeah, no, it's got this actually on the top right there.
Okay,
Your belt and your motor sitting on top, it's a screw.
got it. Okay, so it's the box sitting on top.
Correct.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah, your
Oh, and it's a screw. Okay.
this portion right here is just your fan section. Then
Yeah.
your motor and your pulleys and everything on top.
Got it.
Outside the airstream.
Okay.
Here we have the chilled water fan coil. The only true maintenance you'll have on these is going to be your filter section. It's right here and next to the smoke detector. You can see a little access point right there on the side of the return elbow. You're going to check those at least once a month. and
So
count
the
them.
elbow is the part that's pointing up, correct? Okay.
Yeah,
So
right
that's
here
where
above my
the.
finger right here is where that's where the filter access is right there.
Okay.
Right above my finger.
Got it.
It just, you'll unclip those the little levers and then open up the panel and slide your filter out.
Perfect. And you're recommending?
I would check them once a month,
Okay.
maintain them as needed.
Yep.
You know,
What filters do you usually put in here? Like what
I would
MERV?
put a MERV. You don't need anything more than a MERV in these. I mean,
Okay.
It's not critical space. You know,
Okay.
And I don't think, and you got enough outside air coming in, MERV filter should be fine.
Perfect. Cool.
Yeah. Thermostats right here are, I hate to call them this, but they're dummy thermostats. They are set here for, this room temperature is set, this space temperature is set on your front end. So these are non-adjustable. You can sit there and push the buttons all you want, they're not gonna move.
Okay.
They're here for display only. If supply temperature needs to be changed, raised, lowered, it needs to be done on the front end.
Okay. So if they want to adjust the temperature, where should they adjust it
They need to
then?
call facilities. Facilities would have to do this. This would be on whoever runs.
So you're saying the
space.
building
The
needs to
building,
operate?
correct.
Gotcha. Okay.
You cannot do this from this space.
So this is entirely for display purposes only?
Yep. It just gives you space temperature. That's all it's going to show you.
Got it.
They're non-adjustable at this point. They're only adjustable on the front end.
Okay.
And that's so you don't have customers coming up and changing this down to 60 degrees and, you know, everybody's down to 60 degrees.
Yeah.
You know?
Cool.
Randy?
Sweet.
All right.
Appreciate it. This video is if any of these toilets overflow and start flooding the floor, kind of the steps to prevent that from happening. So take it away, Joey.
Yeah, so these, this is an emergency floor drain. Any of these flush valves, urinals, toilets ever start overflowing, ideally, all the water should go in here. This is not a floor drain, it's an emergency drain. So now to shut off this water main, there's on the men's restroom, because most of the service guys are male, not female, we'll always put this emergency shut off valve in this 8x8 access panel. You open this access panel up, with a flathead screwdriver, there's a handle in there, you pull the handle down, it'll shut off this battery of restrooms right here for the toilets and urinals only. Just everything inside this chase wall.
Okay.
And that's the shut off valve for this. It is a green handle.
Okay.
You pull that handle down, it'll shut off the battery of restroom right here. It'll shut off the urinals and toilets only, not the lavatories,
Okay.
in case of emergency. And that's the, okay. In case this thing starts running here, underneath there is angle stop. There's a shut off valve on the angle stop, which is the hot water only, because this hot water is mixed with cold and hot water. It's only come out less than 110 degrees. And to shut off this battery of lavatories on the men's side, there's a shut off valve right here in the corridor where they're open and accessible, which require a ladder. There's shut off valves here. There's a hot water, cold water, and a hot water return. Pull down on those handles, it'll shut down that battery of lavatories.
They're also on the as-builts with tags.
Okay.
Yes, they're only drawing per plan. And same
All right.
thing for the women's side. There's angle stops underneath the cabinet that carbon copy the men's, and then shut off that restroom. On the lavatories, it'll shut down the whole bank. You have the hot, cold, and return. You have multiple valves, but it's also shut down this family restroom.
So which valves are it? It's the ones with the tags?
Yeah, it's the tag number.
It was 5, 6, 7, 8.
Yes, 6, 7, and 8 are for the gang bathroom, which is the women's,
No problem.
and then 5 and 6 are for the family restroom, which shut down the hot and cold water.
Great. So these four right here are controlling your family and your women's.
Exactly.
Cool.
Yes. So right now we're at the lower level men's restroom.
Okay.
Same thing. There's a 12 by 12 access panel. This shut off valve here. Just pull this up. This is shut down and isolate the entire men and women's restroom on the lower level, including lavatories.
Cool. And in order to open this, what do you need?
In order to open this, we need a flathead screwdriver. Just turn it counterclockwise and pull it right open.
Great.
And there's a little lever here that'll lock it. Once you close it, turn it counterclockwise and it'll close right up.
Cool.
Right. Underneath this chrome cap, there's an Allen screw. You pull the Allen screw with an Allen wrench, pop this off, and you can service this with a flathead screwdriver. Turn it clockwise to turn this fixture off, this flushometer, and that'll kill one individual fixture instead of having your entire restroom down. And then this can be serviced and worked on. And then the faucets in the men's room, we're still in the men's room, lower level. Underneath there's some service valves, hot and cold water, angle stops on the bottom. That'll kill this fixture alone by itself without turning the main off and shutting down the whole restroom. It's still in the men's restroom lower level.
Sweet.
Alright. So here you have a 80-gallon water heater. It's the electric water heater. This 80-gallon water heater, it feeds all the hot water on the second floor only, not the first floor, just the second level. It comes out 120. There's a shut-off valve on the cold. You can shut this valve off. It'll shut down all the hot water on the second level. And here's a shut-off valve, which we call a service valve for the hot, and there's a cold water, there's a hot water. And that's just to service the water.
So this is the hot water right here?
That is the hot water return. The hot water goes
Oh,
back.
this is, okay, so this is the hot water supply.
This is the hot water supply.
And that's the cold water supply.
That's the cold water supply.
Got it.
Yep. This hot water feeds the second floor level, comes back on the return, and has a continuous loop all the way through. Now this hot water feeds this temporary mixing valve, comes in hot, goes in cold, and comes out less than 120 for the entire second floor. Everything from the restrooms to the PDR bar to the kitchen equipment on the second floor only. Which this hot water also feeds the janitor sink, the mop sink, which is in the corner. And this hot water, these levers here are not to be tampered with, because if it goes above 120 degrees, it can scald somebody, burn them, and then Puttshack get in trouble.
Yep. Cool.
And that's consistent with the hot water.
Anything, that's the expansion tank, correct?
Yes, that's expansion tank.
Anything that needs to be explained for that? Any kind of... Will there ever be a time that they need to mess around with that?
No. The expansion tank, here you have a temper and pressure relief valve. You have a temper and pressure relief valve.
Oh, okay. Thanks.
If this valve ever pops off, that's expansion tank is basically a primary. All the hot water pressure go on there. If that fails, there's a temper and pressure relief valve. But release, it'll pop off. It'll do just like that. It'll pop off. All the hot water pressure that's not being used will dump into the mop sink.
Great.
So the beverage room, second level, second floor, we have isolation valves. And in case of emergency, there are service valves. The insulated one in the front, the hot, and the one in the back is the cold.
Okay.
You pull those down, it'll kill this whole wall, this whole entire wall, from the filter to the dump sink, bottle filler, soda dispenser, and hand sink. Those valves will kill this whole wall.
Okay.
Per fixture, underneath the sink, there are shut-off valves or angle stops. Isolation valves on the back per fixture, and those are designated to cut off its own faucet.
Great. All right, where are the shut-off valves for the PDR bar? You want to just run over there and take a look? Yep.
Last name Romanowski.
Hot water, cold water, hot water return.
N-O-W-S.
Perfect.
Shut-off valves for the PDR bar. Every plumbing fixture has a hot and cold water angle stop. That's to shut off the hot and cold water in the back per fixture for service. These are emergency floor drains. There's only two floor drains, one in the front and one in the back.
Okay.
Here in the main bar, we have to shut and isolate all the water down on the hot and cold, hot water return. Get everything on a 10-foot ladder, valve tags, a little chain on the bottom, hot, cold, and return. That'll shut down the entire main bar on the very bottom without shutting down the restaurant.
Okay.
That's it. These are 4 tankless natural gas water heaters. Cold water shut off here, hot water shut off here, and hot water return. And this is the ball valve for the natural gas. This is not to be touched. They have a recirc pump, and we have the same thing like the upper floor. We have an expansion tank, and then each water heater has its own individual temper and pressure relief valves, which are here. Temper pressure, pressure. One here, and one here. And then that's it for this. we didn't install it. We just provided the infrastructure.
Yep.
Right. So these are the water softeners that supply the entire kitchen, main kitchen, ice maker room.
Okay.
Here's a three-way bypass. Right now the water's coming in, going to the softener, and it's going out into the kitchen. We have a bypass down there to service these softeners. We'll shut down the 2 white valves, and we'll run the bypass through. That way the kitchen never gets shut down. Just to service these water softeners here.
Great. All right.
The water valve right up there is the only thing. If there's a problem with water coming out anywhere, you turn the pump off and turn that valve off right there. That's
Great.
it. They call us.
Great.
But there should usually have no problem.
Okay.
To shut this thing down, we come in, we'll change that filter, we'll change the oil in the pump.
Okay.
We'll make, and then when we start it up in the summertime, we'll put new oil, new filter, turn it on, make sure all the nozzles are working.
Okay. How often are you planning on?
Once a season.
Once a year?
Yep.
Great. Okay. You want to head outside? This guy right here. Turn it on. Turns on the misters. What's the range on this? Like how far away? 100 feet from the motor?
Yeah.
Great.
Anywhere in there it'll work.